Happy Sunday morning, everybody. Andy, Steve, and Corbin from WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Welcome to the Road to Millions on Sunday, November 19th. Busy Sunday into the NFL. We've got 3 NFL best bets. We're going to take a long look at the player props on the final lines. We're going to go over alt lines and same game parlays, and of course, your anytime touchdown scores. Got a couple things to do in the comments section, so please hit the like button and leave us a comment. Tell us your best bet. And as you know, we always start with positive vibes from the audience, but we're going to change it up just a little bit. So Corbin and I talked on Friday about changing the percentage and the units, so I encourage you to go watch that. If you haven't watched it, it's the last part of the video where we talk about how we're going to change the percentage on WagerTalk. The units that we're betting going to stay the same. But I thought there was a couple of interesting comments. Matt says, internet discussion on leaderboard. Why don't they list by ROI? Wouldn't that be the gold standard statistically? And then Rabmatic, yes, psychologically as a customer, percentage of play appears as a confident. So that's a mistake on my part. Like, I didn't know that when we put up 1% or 1.5% plays that everyone thought that was a confidence thing. That's a units thing for us. So we're going to be switching that up a little bit. So if I could ask you guys to post in the comments, because this is going to help us out, and we always want to get your feedback and we want to know what's important to you. So if you could post your opinion in the comments, here's 3 options. Which one do you pay the most attention to when you look at a handicapper? Is it their winning percentage? So their overall record. Is it ROI, your return on investment, or is it total units gained? Which one is the most important to you? Which one do you think kind of is the one thing that you're looking for? So if you could just, you don't need a big explanation, just post in the comments. The feedback really helps us out. It lets us know what you guys pay attention to. And as always, we're here for you guys, so we want to make sure that we get it right. So just a quick little comment, winning percentage, ROI, units gained. If you could post that in the comments, that would be great. Thank you so much. All right, what do we have up for today? We just have our NFL best bet. We're going to lay off NBA. I'm going to lay off of NHL. We had a great last couple days on a 7-1 run. Let's just grab a couple units in the NFL and call it a great weekend. So encourage everybody to go grab that best bet. Let's cash a couple units. Gentlemen, let's jump right into it. As always, we're going to start with the passing props. I'll take the first one. Give me this Jared Goff over 1.5 touchdown passes. The Bears have allowed the second most passing touchdowns at 20. But they've allowed, the third least amount of rushing touchdowns? That's how you score on this team. So I was really stunned that Jared Goff is only minus 145. That seems juicy, but boy, it seems like a really good total. So for passing touchdowns, I like Jared Goff over 1.5 here. Steve, do you have anything for passing touchdowns? I know we normally don't have a lot of those, but that was one that jumped off the page for me.
I don't have a ton for passing touchdowns. I have for the Carolina game. I have a pass attempts though.
Okay.
You want to?
Hold on real quick.
Start
We'll get to that. We'll do the touchdowns. Corbin, do you have anything passing touchdowns?
The Dak Prescott over 1.5. We mentioned it last week and we were worried about a blowout. I'm similarly worried about a blowout here because I do think they have quite an easy matchup versus the Panthers. It's a tad juicy, but I do like it. I think he's going to throw the ball. I'm still not convinced with Tony Pollard at all. I can see him easily throwing 2, 3, 4 passing touchdowns here. So that's the one I would look at.
All right, jumping over to pass attempts. They have Bryce Young and Dak Prescott, both at 33.5. Steve, which one did you like?
Yeah, I'm going Young over again. We cashed on this one last week, and he's went over in 5 of 8 games on the year, 4 of his last 5. But if you look at even in the games he's fallen short, 33, 32, 31. So he's right there every time, and now he's against Dallas, and they're going to be playing with the lead, so he's going to be throwing late in the game.
All righty. Take a look at Bryce Young over the pass attempts. All right, passing yards. Justin Fields. I don't know why I like passing props in this game. I could be talked into Justin Fields at 200.5. Like, again, you can't run on the Lions that much. Is he going to throw a lot? I don't know. I kind of like this one. I don't know. First game back, though, I probably am not going to pull the trigger on that one. So. Steve, any passing yards props that you like today?
Yeah, I'm going under on Thompson Robinson. I mean, he only threw for 121 in his first game, and I just think that the Browns here are gonna do everything they can to run the ball and try to limit his throws, and it just seems like too high of a number. I'd have it set a little bit lower. So the Steelers defense has improved recently as well. So give me the under on him. It's a low number, but I don't see him getting over it.
Corbin, you like any passing yards props today?
I actually have three that I like, so
Ooh.
I'll try and rattle them off as quick as possible. So we were just there with the Steelers Browns game. I actually like Kenny Pickett under, I think it's 172. It was around 174. But we've mentioned the Browns defense all year has been quite good. And I think they're going to have to show up to stay in this game with the quarterback situation. I could see the defense excelling extremely well to stop Pickett, try and limit the damage, get turnovers, sacks, all sorts to try and push the Steelers back, to push the game script, I guess, in their favor. The Browns have held 5 opponents under the season, so it wouldn't be the first time. It's quite a low total, but I could see them holding them under. Another I have is CJ Stroud under 264. So obviously he's off 2 huge games back to back. But the Cardinals have an underrated passing defense. They've actually held quite a few decent quarterbacks under, such as Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Stafford. These are all quarterbacks I would consider at least in the top 10 discussion. The only ones to go over are Joe Burrow, Purdy, and Jones this year. The only concern I have with this play is the fact that Pierce is still not back, but they do have Singletary. They have got a run game, so I could easily see him going under there. And then my third one is actually Aidan O'Connell under 196. They've mentioned so many times that the offense kind of builds and starts from Josh Jacobs. They need to get him involved to get any kind of passing going. He's the keyest part of the offense for me. O'Connell had 153 last week versus the Jets, so not particularly great, but the Jets defense is good. But also the Dolphins have a really good passing defense as well. They allowed Mahomes to only have 174, Mac Jones 141, Hurts only got to 256, Young got 188, and Daniel Jones got 183. So quite a lot of quarterbacks have gone under this total. The one main concern is I could see the Dolphins being quite a bit ahead, that O'Connell has to throw the ball. But even then, I've seen many games where they're down and they still run the ball with Jacobs. They still have to get him involved to try and free up the passing game. So they're the three that I have for passing yards.
Love it. Let's move to receiving props here. We'll start with the Bears and the Lions. Steve, you like anything in this game?
Yeah, St. Brown. It's just it almost seems like an obvious choice in this one over for his passing yards. He's had 100 plus in 6 of his last 7 games, and the Bears are extremely soft against the pass. I see him going over this one today.
I will mention that it's a similar play, but I have St. Brown to have the most receiving yards in that match. I think it was a good price as well. I don't know if you can find it
It's a
in
good
the
one.
different category.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But
I'll look it
I
up.
don't. Yeah, I don't see who really gets close to him in this matchup. He just seems so clear as the best wide receiver in this matchup. I don't particularly see who gets near his total. I will also mention there was one passing prop I forgot to mention. It's quite obvious one. Obviously, Josh Allen to throw an interception. He
Oh,
threw
yeah.
3 versus the Jets at the start of the year. He's had one in all but 2 games this year. So yeah, quite like that one. So
All right. We'll get back to this one in a same game parlay for sure.
yeah.
Cowboys and Panthers. Steve, tons of guys in this one. Anyone that you're going to, Luke Schoonmaker?
Yeah, this is
Who?
this is the pass for me. I would like to go back to CD Lamb, but the Panthers are pretty good against the pass and not very good against the run. So this could be a situation where the Cowboys run it a little bit more, and I see them playing with the lead. I would lean towards the over on him still, but I wouldn't. It's not an official play for me.
I'm looking at Brandon Cooks here, 34 and a half. Huge game last week. The week before against Philly, he was pretty bad, but 2 games before that, he went over. Feels like, I don't know. I'm just all in on this Cowboys when they're playing bad teams. I know this one's a little different. It's on the road, but on Friday on Prop It Up, we did the Jerry Jones parlay, which is it's an ongoing joke that's how Jerry Jones makes his money. Is same game parlays when the Cowboys beat up on a bad team. So one of the pieces was Brandon Cooks over 50 yards. So if I don't know. I kind of like Brandon Cooks at 34.5 here. Corbin, anything receiving wise in this one?
You just mentioned it. Brandon Cooks is the one that I've got written down. He's gone over in 3 or 4 off the huge game. I think he's taking over all the Gallup kind of action completely.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna move into wide receiver 2 behind Lamb. So
Raiders and Dolphins. Steve, what do you like in this one?
It's a pass for me.
I like Devontae Adams, 65.5. Aiden O'Connell threw 27 passes last week. 13 of them went to Devontae Adams. I see no scenario where the Raiders are playing with a lead. I think Adams gets his fair share of targets. I'd rather take yards rather than receptions. I think his receptions like 6.5 or 7.5. So just give me Adams. I'm going to keep it simple and take the big name guy in this matchup where I think they're going to be throwing. So Corbin, you like anything in this one?
not really. I liked. I mentioned it last week. I liked Meyer with the quarterback change, but they've bumped his total down all the way from like 40, I think it was last week, all the way down to the late 20s. It's close to a play, but I think the total is kind of in the right place. I think they've kind of nailed it. But
So Cardinals and Texans. Corbin, you mentioned C.J. Stroud under here. So Noah Brown is out. It's interesting. Trey McBride, was he he seemed to be the big winner from the first game with Kyler Murray, 56.5. This has moved up. This was 54.5. It's moved up to 56.5. I guess I feel like this is one of those where he could emerge as a huge weapon, and all of a sudden he's like the fantasy darling, and what a prop like god he is for the next like 3 weeks. But you kind of have to jump on him now, or he could have like 2 catches for 17 yards. Like, I don't know. I'm willing to buy into it with Kyler Murray. Murray locks in on his favorite targets and seems to like it. I might be willing to put a sprinkle on Trey McBride. Steve, you like anything in this game receiving wise?
McBride was my play as well. He's went over in 2 of the last 3, and like you said, he was Murray's favorite target. Also, Texans 6th most yards allowed to tight ends.
Yeah, over 62 yards a game. Corbin, you like McBride? Or you like anything else in this one?
I like McBride. It's a high total for me to get behind. I can't quite get behind it. I'm interested more to watch how Marquise Brown did. I think and we mentioned it last week. We expected him to have a good game with Murray back, but he just didn't. I think did he only have like 1 or 2 catches?
He was terrible. He was awful.
Just nothing happened. 57.5 is quite a high total coming off that game. Now does it regress and go back to what we expected to happen last week? It's just one that I'm going to watch. That's one to watch for me. So
Titans at the Jaguars. Will Levis let all of us down. He let the Tennessee Titans down. He let his family down. There's literally no end to the list of people that he let down. I'm just kidding. This Jaguars team, I mean, Calvin Ridley, my God. Has there already been anybody more disappointing in terms of the potential and the complete opportunity? It's 47.5. My God, when the year started, he was in the 60s and 70s. Hard to pinpoint what's gone wrong here. Steve, anything receiving wise? It feels like a tough game.
Amazing with Ridley too. After that week 1 performance, everyone, it looked like he was going to have a monster year. This one, I think Levis bounces back in this one, and I lean towards Hopkins going over his total. Just the Jags, they're not very good against the pass, and they're pretty stout against the run. It seems like a pretty low number for Hopkins, and I think that they connect on a long one today, so I would take his over.
Corbin, you like any passing props in this?
Not really. The only one I could get behind is Evan Ingram receptions. I think it's at 4.5. I wouldn't mind a alt line of him at 4 with something else. He gets 4 quite often, but Ingram seems to be a key part of the offense there. So
Giants at the Commanders. This is an interesting one. Steve, you get into the window on any of these?
No, it's a pass for me for receiving yards on this one.
Corbin?
I like Logan Thomas over 35.5. He's over in 3 of 4, getting 4 receptions quite a few games. The Giants defense sucks. It's so bad. I'm expecting Howe to have a good game. He's a key weapon for Howe. He's thrown there quite often. It just seems quite a low total on someone that I think could get quite a lot of work against a terrible defense, quite honestly. So that's the one I was looking at.
Friend of the show, Jim Malero, was making the point last night that Tommy DeVito has been sacked 5 and 6 times the last 2 weeks, and Sam Howell is the most sacked quarterback in the league. And there's literally 3 or 4 guys that the books have around even money for sack props. Like there seriously could be double-digit sacks in this game. Like I would say 6 is the floor of lowest sacks. So you get some of these guys that start. I'll pull up the numbers a little bit later, but this game, I mean, sacks absolutely galore in this game. Could be a really nice way to approach this one. Chargers at Packers. Keenan Allen is in for today. I normally go over weather. There really isn't anything weather-wise. I guess the Denver game could have a little bit of rain. I do know Monday Night Football, it's pouring in Kansas City all day today and tomorrow, but it'll stop before game time. So hopefully the field will be in good enough shape, but nothing really weather-wise. Injuries, I don't have a ton of them because they're still waiting to see a lot of game time decisions. But Keenan Allen is in on this one, so you're going to get him. 87.5 is a huge number. Steve, any receiving props in Chargers or Packers?
I do have one, but I'll save it for my best bet.
Corbin?
Not really. I've mentioned it so many times with the Packers. I would quite honestly take no receiving or passing props till halftime. So
you in the first half on the Packers.
Yeah, I just tune out for the first half and just come in fresh for the second. So makes it a lot less painful viewing.
Steelers at the Browns. Steve, tough matchups here for these guys. Do you like any of these? Maybe some unders?
Yeah, I'm looking at Amari Cooper's under, and I know he's been great recently, but now the quarterback is everything in this one to me with Thompson Robinson at QB. In the game that he started, Cooper only had 16 yards. And I just think, like I said, when we talked about the passing props, I just think that the Browns do everything they can to keep it on the ground today and keep him from throwing the ball. Just try to keep it close defensively and muck it up a little bit. So give me the under on him.
Steve, I have an interesting question actually on this one. When you have this kind of situation where you don't expect the quarterback to go over, but you also don't like some of the receivers, would you rather try and pick a receiver, i.e. Cooper, under, or would you rather just go for the quarterback under completely?
I mean, when it's an over, usually I go towards the quarterback just to get the cumulative total. But on an under, I do like the Thompson Robinson under. But yeah, I would look towards the wide receivers, picking out specific ones.
Yeah.
I'm looking at David Njoku, 30.5. Listen, I'm not going to get to it because of the quarterback, but he's always dancing around this number, 58, 26, 77, 54, 24, 46. So, he's there. He had 4 catches against the Steelers team for 48 yards. Now, he caught every target. So he only had 4 targets, but I don't know. If you like Amari Cooper under, I kind of like Njoku over because I think they'll take away Cooper and Njoku will inevitably be left open there a little bit. So Buccaneers and 49ers. I don't know. I know it's a great defense, but I just feel like this number is too low on Mike Evans, 58.5. They're going to have to throw. Baker's one of these guys that just, he doesn't give up. So even if they're down, 21-0, he's going to be out there chucking it around like it's a tie ball game. I think Evans is their best target, so I would look at Mike Evans over 58.5. Garbage time still counts, kind of one of those things. Steve, you like any receiving props in this one?
I agree with you on Evans as a lean, but I don't have anything as an official.
Corbin?
I have quite a strong play. I really like Rashad White over 26.5 receiving. So these are his last 4 weeks yards. So he's had 47, 46, 70, and 65. As you mentioned, I'm expecting the 49ers to be ahead or at least picking up a huge amount of points. So I think the Buccaneers are going to be throwing. I think Mayfield's going to check it down to White. And I'm not sure how much success he's going to have running the ball, so I think he's going to get involved in the passing game. I haven't had a chance to look, but also just looking at his longest reception in all 4 of those games that I just mentioned, his floor is 20 receiving yards as his floor. I don't know what his longest reception is today, but I can't imagine it's too dissimilar to that. So that's the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know somebody had pointed out that well, Chase Edmonds is coming back. Maybe that's why we're getting a low number. I'm with you. I think the Rashad White is you kind of just play it until it something changes, and I'm not sure what's going to change here. I mean, Baker only completed 18 passes last week. They really didn't have to do a whole lot against the Titans, but to your point, Rashad White ran 20 times for 51 yards, 2.6 yards. He's not getting it done on the ground. It's just not a explosive rush defense for sure. Jets at Bills.
Longest receptions is 11.5, by the way.
Oh, even better. That maybe I'd prefer that almost to the 26.5. As I mentioned, he had like double that in each of the 4 games.
Yeah.
So
Jets at Bills. Garrett Wilson is going to play here. Steve, Bills, do you dare dip your toes in the water of a Buffalo Bills receiving prop here?
No, this is a stay away from me.
Smart.
Yeah, no.
Corbin.
absolutely not.
Yeah,
I am done trying to work out if it's a Diggs, Davis, or just whoever they find on the street is going to come in to catch some passes. So
Seahawks at Rams. I kind of like DK Metcalf over 65.5. I know that it looks like Tyler Lockett is going to play, but fact is he's dealing with a hamstring injury. That thing could flare up at any second. So they say he's going to play, but they also say they're going to look at before game time. So I would be terrified to take a Tyler Lockett over. And I would take DK Metcalf. He hasn't had that huge explosion game. I don't know if today's the day. I don't know if Geno Smith finally pulls his head out of his you-know-what. But I don't know. Whenever I hear hamstring injury in wide receiver or running back, I just get terrified. So I think DK Metcalf probably has a pretty decent game. Steve, you like anything Seahawks and Rams here?
No, it's a pass for me.
Corbin?
pass. I don't want anything of any of these, quite honestly.
So in a fantasy league, somebody offered me Puka Nacua for DeAndre Swift. I turned it down. I think this Rams passing. I don't know what's going to happen with this Rams passing attack.
Yeah,
I don't think they know
turn it
what's
down
going to
too.
happen with their own passing.
That's a great point. It's a really good
Let
point.
alone us
on that
trying to
one.
work it out. So
Vikings at Broncos. This is a tough one. Steve, do you have anything receiving props?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Hawkinson over 5.5 receptions.
Okay.
He's hit it in 5 straight weeks. And if you just look at, he's just getting tons of targets, and he's become Dobbs' favorite option. He's had 18 targets in the 2 games since Dobbs started, over 200 yards and a touchdown. So 5.5, it seems like a big number, but he's just crushing it every week, 5 weeks in a row. And Broncos vulnerable to the tight end position as well.
Corbin, you like anything in this one?
no, it's another stay away for me.
Friend of the show, Bubbles. I know you were going to roll your
no.
eyes, Corbin.
Oh,
no,
no.
he brought up a good one. So Samaje P. Ryan, right now the receptions prop is 2.5, but it's plus money. He was saying if you can find an alt line or you find a website that has 1.5. I looked this up. It is true. He has 2 catches or more in every single game this season. Mm-hmm. So if you can find an over 1.5, he gets 2 every single week. So good look. And then Eagles and Chiefs we will break down tomorrow. All right, let's get into some rushing prop. Actually, here real quick, let me. I want to go to the defensive props to talk about the Giants and Commanders. I mean they got a Dexter Lawrence you could look at, but I got a text message said that he got that he popped up on the injury report. That's terrifying. The morning of. So Jim sent me a text. Jonathan Allen, that looks like a really good one, and Thibodeau. I mean, these are just great prices, man.
I like that they're all at 0.25 as well. So they only need half a sack. They don't need a full sack. That is one thing if you are going to play sack props, just make sure that because I know my books in particular have just 2 have a sack, so they don't count half a sacks. But
yeah, you can follow Jim on Twitter at Jim Malero. But yeah, the text message he sent me, Thibodeau, Allen, and Payne. I mean, this is a game, like I said, I think 6 sacks is the floor on this one. These guys just take sacks like it's nothing. So, yeah, it might be an interesting way to look at that one. So, all right, let's go to rushing yards. I talked earlier about David Montgomery over in the line has gone up, which kind of surprises me. I just think he's the hammer, man. I know the Bears have a good rush defense, but the Lions just seem to get it done on the ground. So I'll take Montgomery over. It's not a super confident play because the Bears are really good, but I think Detroit is ahead, and Montgomery just by pure volume gets over there. So Steve, you like rushing yards in this one?
Nothing for me.
Corbin?
I have Jamal Gibbs. I already mentioned it on a Friday show, but I'm slightly less sure on him now than I was then, just because of the whole Montgomery revenge game, all of that kind of stuff. But he has gone over in 5 of 7, and one of the ones he didn't, he had 40 yards. I think he complements Montgomery really well. Montgomery's more of that power one that runs straight up the pitch, whereas Gibbs has all that speed on the outside. He gets involved in the passing game as well. Who knows if Montgomery is fully fit? I mean, if it gets towards the end, do they look to rest him into future weeks?
Yeah.
Have mentioned the Bears have a good run defense, but they also haven't really particularly faced anyone or in the right circumstances for teams to rush on them. So that is the one I was looking at in that game. So.
Oh, it's a sad day, gentlemen. Rico Dowdle is not on the rushing list. Gosh dang it, man. Had to
Such a
listen
good
to
one,
this.
man.
It was such a great matchup. I wonder if they realized that they messed up and put 27.5 out, and they called him and they were like, "Hey, could you put him on the injury report so we can take him off the board?" Now that he's gone, Steve, anything you like in this one? Do we go to Pollard? Pollard's shot up. I'm guessing that means he's not playing. That
Yeah,
just
I'm guessing so too.
screams
And
that
I'll
Dowdle's not playing.
I'll gladly have Dowdle not play at this point personally, but
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
looking at Miles Sanders under 17.5. He had 2 carries for -5 yards last week against the Bears.
Is
Now
that
now
bad?
now he's playing the Cowboys who are going to be playing with the lead most likely, and if it's it's 2 or 3 weeks now for him with a nothing. He had 2 for 0 or 2 for something like that the week 2 weeks before that. His carries the last 4 weeks 2, 6, 2, 7. So it's like very sporadically that they even use him, and then if they fall behind, they're going to use him even less. Give me the under.
So I mentioned that Calvin Ridley was most disappointing. I take that back. Miles Sanders is just absolutely falling off
Yeah,
a cliff. That's a big loser.
he's a candidate for sure.
2 carries for -5 yards. What a horrific stat. Corbin, you went Josh Jacobs over 65.5.
I'm certainly tempted. The whole playing from behind does have me slightly worried, but as I said, even when they're down, they just keep running the ball. I remember against the Lions, I had the Raiders under their whole team rushing, and even in like the second or third quarters, when they're down, they have to get the rush game going. They don't have enough on the passing game to just have teams just defending that. They have to kind of spread it around, but 65.5 it's kind of in that area of like not really sure, so I'll probably stay away. So I think there's better spots.
Cardinals and Texans. Steve, you like anything?
Nothing for me on this one.
All right. We'll move to the Titans and the Jaguars. I think these numbers are pretty fair. Derrick Henry's kind of feast or famine. So he's either going to have 30 yards or 80 yards, I feel like, in this matchup. This Titans rush defense gotten worse over the season. So I wonder if ETN over 65.5. In the end, there's nothing here for me. Steve, do you like any rushing props in this one?
Nothing for me either.
Corbin?
Not really, not really. I'll move on to the next game if you want quickly,
Sure.
because I have Sam Howell over 12.5 rushing yards. He's over in
Yep.
7 of 10. It's a divisional game, which as I've said, I expect the Commanders to win, but these divisional games always have the potential to be closer than really needs to be. He's had 15 in the head-to-head versus the Giants at the start of the year. 12.5 is quite low. I expect him to have a couple of rushes. I quite like that line.
So we're waiting to see with Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson is inactive, so no Antonio Gibson. Steve, maybe Brian Robinson props in this one, huh?
I'm going to the other side. I'm going to
Okay.
go Barkley under 18.5 rush attempts. He's fallen short of it in the last 2 weeks, and I just think it's the Giants' inability to throw the ball, so it limits his attempts because they're going 3 and out consistently or a turnover. And I don't even know that the Giants want to win anymore. I don't know why they would risk him, at this point. I think that 18.5 is a big number for a guy that hasn't gone, fallen too short of that the last 2 weeks.
I feel like Saquon Barkley's career is just going to be like, it's just going to be like 3 or 4 years of we're saving him, like we're resting him at the end of
Yeah,
the year so we can get a better draft pick. So it's a
it's
really
like
good,
SGA in the NBA.
so true,
Until this
so
year.
that is such a great comp. Unbelievably talented, horrific franchise, rested for like 3 seasons at the end of the season. Like absolutely. Of course, I mean the Thunder are actually good this year, so it's actually paid off a little bit. So. Chargers and Packers. Interesting one here. Chargers, worst pass defense, but they're really good against the run. Aaron Jones burned us last week. Corbin, what do you do with these? Do you play unders on your Packers running backs? What do you think in this one?
I stay away from them,
Okay.
specifically because, again, I've mentioned it so many times. I don't have faith in the passing game whatsoever. That they almost have to get the running game going to try and offset that. AJ Dillon, he's been quite good the last
He
couple
really
with
has.
since Aaron Jones has come back because he's got the lower total. I feel like if you can ever get AJ Dillon in the like 20 to 30 yard range, he's normally good. I am actually sticking away from him this week. I'm going to have a week off him because I expect the Chargers to have success and their run defense to be quite good. But that is the one I would pick if I had to. So
Steve, what do you think in the Chargers and Packers rushing wise?
And nothing for me on this one.
All right. Steelers and Browns. Steve, you like anything in this one? They say Jalen Warren is the starter, but who cares who gets the first carry in the game? It's a split backfield. Now that being said, I mean, just the eye test, there's really no comparison. Jalen Warren's he's just the better running back. He's better in catching. He's more explosive. So, is there anything we can do with the running backs in this game?
Yeah, I lean the Warren over at this number. He's been great recently, and the Browns do have a good defense, but it seems like a pretty low number, and I anticipate him getting at least half the carries. So
Okay. Corbin, you like anything in this one?
I'm going with Pickett under 10.5. Is that 9.5 there? But there is some books with 10.5 still. He's gone under that total in 7 of 9 games. We've mentioned the Browns defense is quite good and they're going to have to try and make some plays. Trying to stop him running for like 10 yards, those simple third down runs that he seems to get. I could quite easily see them shutting him down completely and him having negative yards rushing even. So
Love it. I wanted to check something here. Man, it's juicy. I was hoping to get good numbers. I like Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt on their overs. I was hoping to get a good rush attempt number, but I mean, Jerome Ford rushed 17 times last week. Kareem Hunt rushed 10 times. That was with Deshaun Watson. This is a Steelers team that you can absolutely run on. Like the Steelers team, 100% you can rush on them, and they're going to give it their all. I'm certainly they don't think they want. I certainly don't think they want Dorian Thompson Robinson throwing the ball 50 times. So I kind of like these Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt numbers. If I'm forced to take one of them, I think it might actually be Kareem Hunt. I get a lower total, and he's close. He's close enough to where if he breaks a good one, he's almost there. He had a 13-yard run last week, but I like the Browns running backs in this one. I think they'll have success. Buccaneers, 49ers. Steve, anything in rushing props in this one?
not for me, not on this one.
Corbin?
I was looking at Debo Samuel. I can't quite remember the stats, but at 12.5, he really doesn't need a whole lot of rushing attempts to get there. They use him in such unorthodox ways. I was just looking it up. So he's had 29 on 3 rushes, 11 on 2, and 30 on 5. I could quite easily see him breaking at least 1 or 2 runs for 12.5 yards. Is really not an awful lot with the speed that he has.
Yeah.
But then if I'm expecting them to play from ahead, are they going to, because obviously Debo's had a few injuries this year, are they going to risk running it with him? Is there any real need to do that? That's the only concern I have for that play. So
Jets and Bills, again, I mean, good luck trying to figure out rushing props. Steve, big play in this one?
No, nothing big. Just a lean on Brees Hall rushing plus receiving. he's they don't have a ton of weapons, and I think they're going to be playing from behind in this one. And you just look at it every week. He either has a big rushing week or a big receiving week, and the combination of the two adds up to getting close to or over this number. So I'll take that one.
All right, Corbin, you like anything in this one?
Nothing from me, no.
All right, Jets and the Bills. Seahawks and Rams. I keep hitting these Kenneth Walker. I kept hitting him, but certainly not going back to him this week. So I do think this Darrell Henderson 41.5 has my attention. Seahawks have still been getting gashed. I'm not sure that they've totally fixed that defense. So I could see taking Darrell Henderson over his rushing total. Steve, any rushing props you like in this one?
Yeah, I'm with you on Henderson as well.
Okay.
It just feels like he's literally their main option here, and like you said, the Seahawks have struggled against the run, so I would take his over. It seems like a pretty low number to me.
Steve or Corbin?
Yeah,
Sorry.
nothing
second
for
one.
this game, unless Steve has a second play he wants to
No,
do.
one's enough for me on this game.
I do.
yeah.
Do you have anything in this game? Because I have one for the next one. If you don't.
Yeah, Zach Charbonnet over 25.5. This guy just keeps getting enough catches or enough carries to go over. Kenneth Walker's still dealing with the injury. Kenneth Walker had 19 carries for 63 yards against the Commanders. 3.3 yards against the Commanders. So Charbonnet had 6 carries for 44 yards. He's more explosive, and this is a really low number. So I do like Zach Charbonnet today. So Vikings and Broncos. Corbin, which one you like in this one?
I'm going with McLaughlin, is it?
Yeah.
Jaleel
McLaughlin.
I can't say it. McLaughlin over 17.5. So obviously he's the backup Broncos running back, but he's gone over in 5 of the last 6 games. The Vikings give up a lot of rushing yards. I could quite easily see this game being close enough that simply he's going to have a few carries. He only needs like 5 or 6 to get there. I could quite easily see him getting there. So really low total of just 17.5.
Steve, you like this one? This Josh Dobbs total has skyrocketed.
Yeah, it went through the roof.
Massive move.
It's far too high for me personally.
Yeah, we talked about it, and it was in the 20s. So I mean, this is a 20% jump. When we talk about moving props, one of the things you got to do is look at the percentage of move, not the actual yards. So if you have something that's 60 yards and it moves up 6 yards, that's obviously a 10% move, but this is a massive move on Dobbs. So I don't know, Steve. I like Dobbs in the 20s. I don't like him at 34.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. This game's a stay away from me as far as rushing props.
All right, that is going to do it for us for looking over the final lines and everything. So hit the like button again, guys. If you could just let us know. Post your opinion on what's your best bet today, and also when you're looking at a handicapper, which do you prefer, winning percentage, ROI, or units gained? Again, this is just to try and help us out so I know more of what to talk about and go over, and I'm really interested to see what the results are in this one. So if you could post in the comments, you'd be doing us a really, really big favor, and I appreciate it. So let's talk about your same game parlay, Corbin. We're going back to the Bears and the Lions, and no surprise, there's a few teams that you just fade the passing defense. So walk us through how we're going to fade this Bears team.
Yeah, so I've mentioned so many times that I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, particularly when he's at home. The difference in his totals he seems to get at home versus away seem to be slightly different. He's improved this year, but at home he is still just a monster. So St. Brown has cleared this 50 yards and 4 receptions in every single game this year. The Bears defense is so bad, and I think the Lions are going to be able to attack them all over the field, throwing, running, all sorts. So St. Brown's the clear wide receiver 1. In the 3 home games he's had this year, he's gone over 100 yards in every single one of them. The Lions should win this quite comfortably for the -2.5, I think. They won the last head-to-head 41-10. And they have a really good run defense, as we've mentioned. And I think that's quite important versus the Bears. If you can get Fields to start throwing the ball and limit their running success, I think it just makes the game far easier for them. So wrap that all up, and it's slightly juicy this week at -180, but for the reasons I've mentioned, I mean, St. Brown has hit this every week, and at home he's a beast. I feel like it's worth laying that price for at least a unit or two. So.
All right, guys, we're going to do 3 NFL best bets at the end. Steve's going to go over his anytime touchdown scores. One last thing from Corbin here. You got your alternate plays. So week 11, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so I have the Cowboys -3 versus the Panthers. I'm really not expecting this to be close. I think the Cowboys have got far too much on offense for them. They've got a strong defense. The Panthers are very basic. I don't see them particularly excelling in any kind of area. And for me, they look like they're going backwards, if that's even possible. I mean, they were already bad, and they just seem to be getting worse and worse the more the season gets on. Young seems to be really struggling, and I don't expect him to have any success versus the Cowboys. The second part is the Jets versus the Bills under 51. So the last four head-to-heads have easily gone under this total. Only one Jets game this year has gone over, and only one of the last 6 for the Bills. Both offenses are just really struggling. Mix in a few Josh Allen turnovers at some point, whether it's thrown to the other team or just fumbling the ball away. Neither team has particular rhythm. I mean, we don't need to touch on the Jets because Zach Wilson's he's just not that guy. He's just not good enough. So both teams have relatively good defenses, particularly the Jets. I think the Jets are going to keep that really, really close, quite low scoring. And then quite simply, I think the Cardinals versus the Texans over 36.5. Again, it's such a low total. I could see both teams putting up 20 plus to get to this total quite easily. I think it's going to be quite a shootout. I've mentioned the only concern I have with that one is that I have mentioned that I expect Stroud to have issues throwing the ball, but I could see the Cardinals putting up 25 with how good Murray played last week. If he's anything as good as that this week, wrap that all up together and it's -149. So
Love it. That Cards Texans game. I hope that's fun. Then that'd be awesome to watch Kyler Murray and C.J. Stroud in a shootout. That could be a really awesome, fun, exciting game. So, all right, Steve, let's talk about some anytime touchdown scores. Week 11. All right, walk us through what you like this week.
So I'm looking at, first off, Patriots aren't playing, so we don't have to worry about them. And then Dotson has 3 on the year. He's playing the Giants. That's one that we're playing every week. I think he's got a good shot at a touchdown against them. They don't have too many other options in that one. As far as my week 11 guys, I'm going to go with Diggs again. I know the Jets have been really good. They've only allowed one wide receiver to score a touchdown on them so far this season, and it was Stephon Diggs in week 1. He has the second most receiving touchdowns, second most targets. So I'm looking his way again in that one. Hawkinson is a guy I regretted not adding to the pay dirt parlay last week. I was so close to adding him instead of McCaffrey, which would have cashed it so close. And then McCaffrey screwed me. I tried to go the easier route with the McCaffrey, going 19 straight games with a touchdown. But Hawkinson has just gotten so many targets recently in these past 5 weeks, and he's become Dobbs' number one option. With Jefferson out of the lineup, Hawkinson has been just getting tons of targets. Broncos allow 4 tight end touchdowns, which is tied for the third most in the league. Reed might be one of my favorite guys this week, especially for the price at $295. He has 4 touchdowns on the season, and he has 3 or more receptions in his last 4 games. We know this Chargers pass defense. It's brutal. They have the most passing touchdowns allowed and most yards per pass. So look his way on close to a 3-1 on that one. And then Kelsey, game of the year. It's going to be one of these ones with all eyes on him and all the things swirling around whatever is going to be going on in pregame and stuff. And he hasn't scored in the last 2 games, so he seems like he's due for one. And then also the Eagles, 5 tight end touchdowns, which is tied for the second most in the league, and they have the top run defense. So the way to get at them is through the air. I'm expecting both teams to put on a little bit of a show here and Kelsey to get to the end zone. And then for the pay dirt parlay, we'll go Diggs, Hawkinson, Kelsey, plus 1191, close to 12-1 on that one. And hopefully Kelsey wraps it up for us on Monday night.
What a great price on 3 monsters. I mean, those are 3 big name guys. That should get in the end zone. You're at 12-1. Great price.
A lot of good tons of targets for all those guys too. So
Are you worried about Travis Kelce being all shook up that Taylor Swift almost overheated and passed out on stage in Rio, and that they had to cancel the tour? Steve, does that worry you at all?
No, I think he'll overcome that.
Who would have thunk putting that tour in a stadium that doesn't allow water? You
Yeah.
see that? They
Well,
don't allow water sales. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. So that's going to do it for anytime touchdown scores. Now it is time for our official best bets. I will start off. Yeah, give me Jordan Love over 230.5 passing. Every single quarterback who has faced the Chargers has gone over their passing total. Even Bajent had 232 against them. Aiden O'Connell went over their passing total. I just do not think that this Packers team is going to have success running the ball. The Chargers' numbers are astonishingly bad. They allow 291 yards passing per game. That's the worst in the NFL. The second worst team allows 266. It's a 25 per game yard difference in how bad they are. So, Corbin, you've done a great job talking about how Jordan Love just is horrific in the first half, but then he just gets it done in the second half. He's flown over this total in the last 3 games. I mean, last week he had over 280 yards. So, absolutely, I'm going to keep riding this trend of fading this Chargers pass defense. So, give me Jordan Love over 230.5 passing for my best bet. Steve, we mentioned Jaden Reed. You're going to his receiving.
yeah, I'm in lockstep with you on this one with Love. Reed has went over in 6 of 9 games. He's had 80 plus in 2 of his last 3. And then you got the Chargers, like you said, most passing yards allowed, 6 most to wide receivers. They're solid against the run. Not much more to say here. It's a low total to me, and you could look at his receptions as well at 2.5. It's a little bit juicy. I think negative 140 or something like that. But he's hit that in 7 of 9 games, and I think both hit today. But I just went with the receiving yards because he's had some big receptions recently. So I'll take the over on the receiving.
And Corbin, you're looking at an under here.
Yeah, so I'm going with Robert Woods under 34.5. He's just not the same guy he was last year when he was having some success. He's getting a lot older. He doesn't have the same speed. He's been dealing with injuries all year, including a hamstring, and we've mentioned what that does for these wide receivers. He only had 1 reception each of the last 2 weeks. He's gone under in 5 straight. Everything is pointing to another under. The one concern, as you mentioned, is the Noah Brown situation. But even still, he's just not running deep enough. He's going to have to catch 3, 4, maybe even 5 passes, I think, to get to this total. So I like the Cardinals' passing defense. I said Stroud might struggle this week. So take one of his receivers under that's been struggling. So Robert Woods under 34.5 receiving for me.
Love it. Love it. Let's cash those NFL best bets. And then, so guys, we have an NFL best bet. Steve, you're over at Sports Memo. What do you have up for today?
I also have an NFL best bet up on my page. I have 2 NFL plays, and I'll also be posting NBA when I'm done here. So I have an NFL best bet and an NBA best bet as well.
Not to toot our own horn, but I'm going to do it anyways. NHL has been really, really good. Steve, we were joking before. Who have you been cashing on? What's his name?
Nick Shushkin. Great start though. I'm 3-0 to start over at Sports Memo in the NHL. So that's been a great start as far as that sport goes.
Yeah, we cashed yesterday as well. We're up to 13-6 in that. So NHL has been very, very good this year. So hit a cross sport parlay with NBA and NHL. So those have just been a really, really nice source of profit. So do not play a lot of. I do not play them every single night. I'll be off today after cashing yesterday. So if you see we have one up, grab it because they have been absolutely fantastic. So definitely using quality over quantity in that one. So, and good luck on your Nishushkin. I can't even say this.
Nick Shushkin.
Nick
Yeah,
Shushkin.
Same for me though today. I think it'll be a pass for me today as well. Yeah, Valeri Nick Shushkin. So you can go with Valeri.
Valeri, yeah, we know who it is.
Try and say that 5 times in a row correctly.
I'm just gonna stick with Valeri, and I can just scroll down to the V. There he is, and I'll take it. So, Great work today, everyone. So let's cash these bets, but make sure you check out all of our official plays, the ones that count towards the records, the ones that we love the best. Those are up at WagerTalk.com for myself and Corbin. Just go to Andy Lang's profile page and check out Steve at SportsMemo.com. Great stuff, guys. Let's have a great Sunday, and man, do we have a busy week with Thanksgiving games coming up. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe because starting tomorrow, it is on for NFL Thanksgiving week. UFC is off, but we have the PFL Championship, so we still have a lot of MMA. Yeah, and tons of NBA and NHL. So it's going to be a really, really good week of profit. So thanks for joining us on the Road to Millions. Good luck on your place. We'll see everyone tomorrow.
Good luck.
Good luck, guys.